Part 33. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 325. To prioritize the video release today, the two people went to the third floor and opened their laptops as the bees flew. Edit the audio and video together, align the timeline, and then cut off the beginning and end of the video, and the audio, video, and video are ready. I'm done. After a while, Igarashi Runa said. So fast. Kurosawa, who was sitting on the sofa next to him and taking off his mask to read the music score, was a little surprised. Practice makes perfect. Faced with his surprise, Igarashi Runa felt a little happy and complacent. Although she has never systematically studied it formally before, the operation of combining audio and video is quite simple. Want to take a look? See if there's anything wrong. Immediately afterwards, she noticed that Kurosawa Hikaru was still sitting there and did not immediately move around him, so she took the initiative to ask. No, I believe you, just check it out. Kurosawa shook his head. As for the video, he didn't even need to watch it, he just had to cut out the few seconds at the beginning and end. As for the recording, he has also listened to it. As long as it matches the timeline, there will be no problems. And he believed in Miss Runa's ability that she would never make such low-level mistakes. Igarashi Runa, who was originally very excited, heard this, her smile froze, and then gradually turned into disappointment. Let me see. Kurosawa Hikari, who was still studying the music score to see if there was room for improvement, noticed her depression, so he had to put down the music score, stand up and walk over. Seeing him approaching, Igarashi Runa was stunned for a moment, and then moved her butt to make way for him. Kurosawa Hikaru, who originally wanted to stand and watch the video, saw her actions and had to sit down. The distance between the two people is not close, about 30 centimeters or more. She is actively keeping the distance, which is a good thing. Immediately afterwards, Igarashi Runa held the mouse and played the video. Because it is different from the original version, it is a purely show-off version, and the video duration is very short. This video will definitely become a hit, even more popular than Croatian Rhapsody. Even so, after reading it, Igarashi Runa felt an electric current flowing in her body, her scalp was numb, and it was even more refreshing. Perhaps Liszt's The Bell, in the climax and hand speed section, can be called a double feast of vision and hearing, a performance that can sublimate people's souls. But that kind of climax took too long, and you need to calm down and watch the whole process before you can appreciate the beauty of it. In contrast, Flight of the Bumblebee explodes from the first second, which is very suitable for this impetuous and fast-paced era. It only takes 1 second to grab people's heartstrings. The most important thing is that there are many means and ways for this song to be used for marketing and publicity. The fire is good, but it doesn't sound good enough. Kurosawa Hikaru also finished watching the video, thoughtfully. Although the virtuoso version of Flight of the Bumblebee with more than a dozen notes per second is indeed explosive, but for a professional pianist, he can only feel the elements of virtuosity, but there is something different in terms of musicality. Lacking. To put it bluntly, this is not art, but a commercial piano. That's true, what should we do? After hearing this comment, Igarashi Runa thought about it and agreed. This song is actually very good if you look at it alone, but if you compare it with the 3 songs before 0 Hour, there is a clear gap. It won't have a big impact, as long as it is definitely popular. This song was later authorized to Cat Carnival to make it into a song. However, after thinking about it, Kurosawa didn't care much about it. For professional pianists, Flight of the Bumblebee is not good enough, but for ordinary listeners, this piece was definitely one of the most famous piano pieces in the 21st century in his previous life. In the final analysis, it is because of its extreme speed that it is very attractive to people who do not understand piano. Because he is not reborn but time-traveled, the world is different, and he cannot completely reproduce everything, but the flight of the wild bee and the music game are bound together, which is a perfect choice and can achieve each other's achievements. Okay, I'll watch the video a few more times to confirm if there are any missed details. Igarashi Runa nodded. You take a look first. Kurosawa nodded slightly, then stood up and returned to the sofa on the side. He picked up the paper on the table and read it again. There are many pieces of paper in his hand, which record 3 piano pieces, Adelina by the Waterside, Wedding in a Dream, and Autumn Whispers. These 3 pieces of music may not be very difficult to perform, but as romantic piano pieces, they are very nice to listen to. Through Maxim's piano music, which is similar to pop music, he became famous and gained an absolute fan audience. These 3 songs are the foundation for him to become world famous. To be honest, he didn't do much research and didn't know how well the Prince of Piano and Richard Clayderman albums containing these songs could sell. But he only knows one thing. The influence of these 3 pieces of music is terrible. They are piano pieces that you can't name, but they are the piano pieces that burn the melodies deep in your mind. You don't know when or where you heard them. The piano score in his hand is not the absolute original, because the memory of his previous life is too far away, and he vaguely remembers 7 or 8 points of the original music. The remaining blank parts were filled in by his talent and music theory of master-level piano. That's why he was checking the score again and again, trying to find out the problem. What are you thinking about? At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from behind him. The sudden sound brought Kurosawa Hikaru out of his thoughts and back to reality. Turning his head, he found that Miss Runa had walked behind his sofa and was looking at the music score in his hand. Your painting skills are really great. This piano score is so beautiful. Igarashi Runa bent down slightly and looked at the notes in his hand. Although he couldn't read the music score, he could see that the lines of the notes were smooth and clean. Her short silver gray hair was just about shoulder length, and her long hair would not fall down even if she bent down. Even so, as she bent down, Kurosawa Hikaru smelled the fragrance of roses. It was very fragrant, and intoxicating. I'm playing through my imagination, confirming the score. Aware of her scent, Kurosawa Hikaru looked away from her and explained. Imagine playing? What is that? Just recite each beat silently in your heart and feel its melody. Wow! Igarashi Runa realized what he was doing and couldn't help but marvel. In fact, she had learned guitar and had an idea of musical notes, but she was only interested in it for 3 minutes and didn't study for long. She gave up after realizing that she had no musical talent. Precisely because she knew she had no talent, she admired Kurosawa Hikaru's talent and talent even more. Sorry, did I disturb you? Immediately afterwards, Igarashi Runa came to his senses and realized that he was not looking at the music score in a daze, but practicing, and he realized the problem. No, have you finished checking? When did you come here? Even though Kurosawa was simulating playing, he couldn't find any problems. After all, he was already proficient in piano when he wrote the score. What's more, when he wrote these 3 romantic piano pieces, he was still immersed in the afterglow of his date with Miss Ninomiya, full of beautiful longings for the future, full of emotions, and performed exceptionally well when filling in the blanks. Unless his piano skills are upgraded to a perfect level, otherwise, there should be no more inspiration for improvement in these 3 piano songs. It's not impossible if he insists on adapting it, but it will make the music completely different. I have been watching behind you for at least 10 minutes, and I have watched the video 5 times. There is no problem. If you are pursuing better, there will be a problem, because the camera position of the video always remains the same. For loop playback it will have an impact. Those MVS with more than 1 billion views on YouTube are all diverse in appearance and in line with the theme. Igarashi Runa nodded and expressed his opinion. In fact, she didn't want to speak out, but Kurosawa was immersed in the world of piano scores, and she didn't know when it would end. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't expect that she had been standing behind him for so long, and he couldn't help but be stunned. Am I too obsessed? Or do I think she would never hurt me, so I didn't take it to heart when I found out? He didn't speak, but felt surprised in his heart. He is proficient in super kicking, boxing, and survival in the wild. He is very sensitive to the movements of things around him, but Miss Runa ran behind him without him realizing it, and even stood there. 10 minutes. MV? I'll think of a way. Because there was no way to verify this question, Kurosawa Hikaru thought of the question she raised. As a photographer, he suddenly felt inspired. In fact, he also knows that his videos are boring. Pieces such as Croatian Rhapsody and Flight of the Bumblebee are very enjoyable to watch when played, so there are no problems. But for the next 3 romantic piano songs, it is best to match the plot of the MV to maximize the effect. So at times like this, the strength of the team is needed. Do you want to find a way to solve it? Igarashi Runa responded subconsciously, but when she discovered what he said, she was shocked. She specifically mentioned this matter because she thought of what she could do, but Kurosawa planned to solve it himself? Yes, after hearing what you said just now, I have a good idea. After this reminder, Kurosawa Hikaru felt like a spring of thoughts. As a model, Sayuki is in need of development and exposure. If she is allowed to be the heroine of the MV, as long as the piano music becomes popular, her popularity will also rise. And when she faces herself, her unobstructed love can definitely express the theme of love very well. You have taken care of everything, what can I do? Seeing that he was going to take care of everything, Igarashi Runa felt a little frustrated and lay down on the back of the sofa. As a gold medal manager, she used to always solve all problems for artists in every detail, but Hikaru Kurosawa is an out-and-out alien. He is so powerful that she doesn't even need to worry about it. Teach Yuki-chan how to become a qualified model. Kurosawa Hikaru glanced sideways at her frustration and gave her an important task. Although he confirmed from the search results on the internet that modeling has a promising future in Neon, he did not have time to study too many rules and matters in the industry. Then I will do it naturally, can't I help you? When you help her, you are also helping me. All right. Igarashi Runa looked at him deeply and nodded. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 326. Hokkaido, on the 3rd floor of a single-family villa, sunlight shines into the house through the window sill. A beautiful-looking short-haired beauty wearing a suspender dress with a sexy figure was sitting in front of a piano, playing Chopin's piano music. She is Shizuka Kitajima, a full-time YouTuber and piano player. Since she became a fan of Master Zero, and was influenced by Croatian Rhapsody, she regained her dream of playing the piano and began to conquer and practice classical piano music, such as works by Chopin, Beethoven and other great piano masters. Now, although she is still a marginal pianist and her clothes in the piano videos are still very revealing, she no longer blindly follows the trend and catches the hot spots, but starts playing famous classical piano music. Although the choice of tracks has a certain impact on the number of plays, some people still accuse her of immorality, but she doesn't care about these rumors at all. She is immersed in the state of improving her piano skills every day, enjoying it very much, and has found the purpose of life. Significance. After playing a song, she stopped, took a break, and picked up her phone. What? As soon as she picked up her phone, she saw a notification and was immediately alarmed. Immediately afterwards, she started running non-stop, and soon ran to the computer and sat down. Opening the Twitter web page, she clicked a few times with the mouse and quickly entered a page. Neon time difference, new video will be released at midnight in the morning. Master Zero Hour is finally releasing a new video. Shizuka Kitajima looked at her phone and then at the website. After confirming that it was correct, she felt extremely surprised. Immediately afterwards, she quickly retweeted this post and added a comment, "0 Hour Master's new video is coming, happy expression," to share the good news with her fans. After finishing this, she was so excited that she opened the favorite link with one click, and the web page jumped directly to a video page on YouTube. There is no barrage on YouTube. Even so, the comment area is very lively at this time, especially the latest comments. Here's a refresher before the new video comes out. This new comment was posted less than 5 minutes ago, but it has more than 1,000 likes and hundreds of echoing comments. Seeing this, she also liked it, and then put on her headphones to watch the video. So far, the number of video views of Croatian Rhapsody is already very scary. The most advantageous thing about MV among audiovisual videos is that it can be listened to as a song and played in a loop. Perhaps the scene in the video doesn't change much. It's just Master 0 Hour sitting there playing the piano. That's true, but I can't bear to say that he plays the piano very well, and he hasn't released a physical album or a digital album yet. Is it 0 o'clock tonight? It looks like I need to apply 2 more masks. After watching the video again, Shizuka Kitajima was still excited. After talking to herself, she ran to the comment area of Twitter to interact with everyone. Which song it will be tonight is a topic worthy of discussion. Whether it's Liszt's The Bell or Adelina by the Water, people are looking forward to it. In a bedroom in a house in Tokyo, a beautiful woman with blonde hair and big waves was lying on her side on the bed playing with her mobile phone. Brother Guang is busy playing the piano. Following the notification on Twitter, Yuki Ichino's had a realization. Ever since she found out that Brother Guang was 0 Hour, she, who was already a fan, turned into a super fan. Then, bored, she found her way and went to Twitter to watch the excitement. 0 Hour Master has posted an update, saying that he will release a new work at 0 o'clock tonight. It's a new work. I've been listening to Croatian Rhapsody for so long that I'm tired of it. At the Tokyo headquarters of Juyi Bank, several female bank staff at the front desk couldn't help but discuss. With the announcement of 0 Hour's dynamic announcement, Neon Nation directly aroused heated discussions. Perhaps so far, 0 Hour has only had 2 events, one was to release Croatian Rhapsody, and the other was as the closing guest at a piano competition. But his performance was so amazing. Whether it was an original piece, such as the heart-wrenching Croatian Rhapsody, or a performance at the piano competition that was so magical that it impressed all the spectators, it made people feel that he was charm. Neon's pursuit of the strong is very enthusiastic, especially a master figure like Ling Shi who is talented and visible to the naked eye. In 0 Hour Agency, after Igarashi Runa released the trailer, Kurosawa Hikaru went to the recording studio again and continued to record songs. Although there is a plan to shoot a MV, MV refers to a short music video. It is only a video, not music. Done. With the recording complete, Hikaru Kurosawa walked out of the studio. What kind of piano music are the last 2 songs? It always feels like Adelina by the Water, but it's not the same, but it's both very nice. Standing on the center console, Igarashi Runa took off her headphones with a look of disbelief on her face. It was so beautiful, so stunning, so melodious. Under Hikaru Kurosawa's exquisite piano skills that could not find any faults, she could really feel the beauty of those melodies. The order of the songs I just recorded is Adelina by the Waterside, Wedding in a Dream and Autumn Whispers. Kurosawa Hikaru also responded to this question. Whispers of Autumn, why is it called Whispers of Autumn? Igarashi Runa was confused when she heard the names of these tracks and realized something. Adelina by the Water was inspired by his date with Chizuru in Asira Valley. Wedding in Dreams, the title of the song is simple and clear, it is the yearning for a wedding. But Autumn Whispers is different from these 2 songs. Seasons are suddenly added, but it's still summer now. Which season do you think is the most romantic among the 4 seasons of the year? Kurosawa Hikaru asked without answering. Spring. Why? Because 100 flowers are blooming, and dead trees are blooming in spring. There is a feeling of prosperity, which makes me feel that the whole world has come alive. You have a very optimistic personality. Realizing her interpretation of spring, Kurosawa found it quite interesting, and through this answer, he got a better sense of her thoughts. Do you think autumn is the most romantic? Although he was still wearing a mask and couldn't see his expression, Igarashi Runa could feel that he was smiling and praising herself. His heart was a little accelerated, as if it was about to jump out of his chest, and he quickly changed the subject. My answer is spring, summer, autumn, and winter. To this question, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and answered. What's this? It's a fowl. Hearing this answer, Igarashi Runa was speechless. Everyone has a different understanding of the seasons. For example, you think spring is very romantic, some people think summer is more romantic because you can go swimming at the beach, and some people think winter is very romantic because there is snow, and autumn has fallen leaves. Indeed. The reason why I love spring, summer, autumn, and winter is because each of the 4 seasons has its own charm, Kurosawa continued. In fact, his favorite season used to be spring and his most hated season was winter. Spring is a time of year when the climate is relatively suitable, neither too cold nor too hot, making people happy both physically and mentally. Winter is the coldest period of the year, and his hands and feet will become cold when he reads, and it is also a challenge to his self-control. The winter quilt is too lethal, and it is easy for people to enter a state of hibernation, and they are lazy and do not want to move. But after getting the system, especially after getting master-level photography, he found that these seasons were not important at all, because each season had its own charm. The most praiseworthy advantage of a photographer is the ability to discover beauty and the love for every bit of what he sees. It seems I will have to pay more attention in the future. Realizing the concept he described, Igarashi Runa felt a sense of beauty and awareness. Let me listen to the recording. Seeing that she was inspired, Kurosawa smiled and said. Then, he picked up a pair of headphones, put them on his head and listened. The 3 piano pieces took quite a long time, but Kurosawa was very satisfied with them. Different from Maxim's piano music, most of piano prince Richard Clayderman's famous songs are piano solos. Without the accompaniment of other instruments, the piano alone can fully bring out the charm of those melodies. Although it is not an absolute original, there are some blank spaces that he filled in with inspiration and emotion, but his talent and knowledge of music theory at the proficiency level are terrifying, and there is nothing wrong with it. Kurosawa, did you forget to record lists the bell? After he finished listening to the 3 piano pieces and took off his headphones with satisfaction, Igarashi Runa thought for a while and asked. She had already inquired, and although Lists the Bell was not an original piece, it could still be included in the album. Let's record it next time. This piano music requires emotion to achieve the best effect. Kurosawa Hikaru knew this, nodded, and explained. If the pianist's piano skills are at the same level, the difference must be determined by the emotional difference. The bell he played at the piano competition before contained anger and unwillingness. He didn't want his fans to be looked down upon like rats crossing the street, so he performed beyond the ordinary. He doesn't have that kind of similar emotion now. Although it can pop up, it's definitely not as stunning as that time. In contrast, in these 3 romantic piano pieces, his emotions are very rich. What about these 3 piano pieces? Don't worry, wait until the MV is made and released. Let's go read the contract. Good. While talking, they also left the recording studio and headed to the 3rd floor again. But after finishing recording today's piano music, Kurosawa Hikaru returned to his room and changed out of his clothes. As he put on his original clothes, he picked up his phone and took a look, and found a message from Xiaoyuki. Brother Guang, are you going to post a new video? What song is it? Is it Adelina by the Waterside? No, it's Flight of the Bumblebee, a new song adapted from it. Alright. Which season do you like? I could feel her regret through the words. Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and asked. Summer. Why? Because I can go to the beach with you, go surfing together, and bask in the sun together. I love summer too. Seeing such an answer, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but smile. Just as he guessed, Xiaoyuki likes Xiaotian. There is absolutely a reason to like something, it cannot be without reason. 3 more to come. Tips do, 1. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 327. After changing his clothes, Kurosawa Hikaru came to the lounge, where a contract was already placed on the table. It was pushed to the top of the Japanese fan page, and the response was so enthusiastic. Igarashi Runa was looking at Twitter with her phone, and she was a little surprised. It's only been a short time, less than an hour, and it's enough to see that fans have been looking forward to the new work of Zero Hour for a long time, and they are even more enthusiastic. Even though she has been in the industry for many years, she has never seen such a terrible influence as Zero Hour. There is no need for marketing and water army operations, just the enthusiasm of fans and crazy forwarding comments can create such a warm response. As for Kurosawa Hikaru, he didn't care about it, just walked to the sofa and sat down, picked up the contract and examined it. Although he completely trusted Miss Runa, it was a mutual respect to personally look over the contract in black and white. After seeing the data, Igarashi Runa also went to the comment area to read it. The first comment among the fans was from Shizuka Kitajima. Master Zero Hour is finally going to release a new video. She was the first to repost the video and tweet of Croatian Rhapsody by War of Tragedy. The Big V who helped to repost it was very famous among the fans, who argued with others for many days in the subsequent fan war. There are many other comments, all of which show strong expectations and enthusiasm. When Igarashi Runa casually refreshes the page, the number of comments will increase, and more people will notice the dynamics of Zero Hour. So crazy. Seeing this situation, Igarashi Runa couldn't help but smack his lips. Since the night of Zero Hour, when Lists the Bells was played at the Tokyo Bunkakaikan, the name Zero Hour has truly resounded throughout the country. Even more, because of his pampering behavior, fans' admiration for him is even more like a god. Although the culture of neon leads to various things being given the title of handsome, Kurosawa Hikaru is directly given the title of the god of piano. After roughly scanning the comment area, Igarashi Runa raised his head and looked at Kurosawa Hikaru across from him. Kurosawa, why don't we change to other piano music for tonight's video? For example, Adeline at the Waterside. Igarashi Runa saw him sitting on the sofa, crossing his legs, looking down at the contract, with a handsome, calm and composed attitude, and couldn't help saying. High expectations are a double-edged sword. If you can meet the expectations of fans, it's a good thing. If you can't meet the expectations of fans, it's a bad thing. Although she doesn't know much about piano, Kurosawa Hikaru just said that Flight of the Bumblebee is not perfect enough and there is still room for improvement. In contrast, Kurosawa Hikaru is very satisfied with Adeline at the Waterside and didn't say anything like pity. Fans are too enthusiastic, and romantic piano music is difficult to satisfy them. The biggest advantage of Flight of the Bumblebee is that it bursts out its power from the first second, which is in line with the needs of the audience in this traffic era. Kurosawa Hikaru had expected this situation a long time ago and was not very surprised. He noticed her concerns and explained. After the lesson just now, he already understood that it was okay and rest assured. Such words are actually perfunctory. Compared with this, only by explaining the situation clearly can one better convey one's thoughts and ideas. Indeed, but many fans are looking forward to the new video tonight being the MV of the bell, and the live playback is too troublesome. After thinking about it, Igarashi Runa had a deep understanding, but she still looked forward to the appearance of the bell in her heart. On the night of their first meeting, when Kurosawa Hikaru played to Alice, she thought it was amazing, but that was all. In contrast, when she saw him play Flight of the Bumblebee for the second time at the Phantom Star office, she felt shocked. However, even if Flight of the Bumblebee is very charming, before the live performance at the Tokyo Bunkakaikan, when Kurosawa Hikaru was practicing the bell alone in the recording studio, no one knew what she had experienced at that moment. It was crazy beyond imagination, it was a fascinating figure, and it was a piano sound like the sound of nature. Ahead of the world, as the first person to see the bell at 0 o'clock, her body and mind were completely conquered, completely overwhelmed, and fallen. That's why, on that day at the Budokan, when his affair with several women was exposed and he was in a dilemma, she chose to stand by Kurosawa Hikaru without hesitation and help him solve his problems. Whether Kurosawa Hikaru is a playboy or a scumbag full of lies, she doesn't care about these things. She just wants to follow Kurosawa Hikaru and watch the story of 0 Hour to the end at the closest distance. Fans have already seen the bell, and the freshness is not enough. If you want to surprise people, you must be unexpected. The piano piece The Bell is indeed higher, more difficult, and more pleasant to listen to, but it requires people to calm down and listen slowly, so that they can feel the magical charm at the climax. Kurosawa Hikaru put down the contract and looked at her levelly. Maybe he doesn't understand the entertainment industry, but that doesn't mean he really knows nothing. It is precisely because he understands the piano that he knows the characteristics of these piano pieces. Okay. Igarashi Runa actually wants to see him play the bell again like all fans, but seeing that he has considerations, she doesn't force it. There is less than half a month until the end of the month. Except for the red time, I have made reservations. The rest of the time will help me plan my itinerary. For example, cooperating with Cat Carnival to shoot commercials and performing at the Tokyo Bunkakaikan. If there are any good activities, you can also arrange them to make the office soar this summer. Seeing her regret, Kurosawa Hikaru took out his phone and opened the calendar and took a look at it. Then he clicked with his finger, put it on the table and gently pushed it in front of her. The dates he marked were Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, to go to the part-time job and the dojo respectively. Except for these marked dates, are the rest of the dates fully booked. Igarashi Runa was surprised to find that he was actually willing to hand over the phone to her. She looked at him tentatively for a few times, but still took it into her hand to look at it. I also plan to go back to my hometown to visit my parents and go on a date. Kurosawa shook his head and added, I'll arrange it for you tomorrow. Advertising shoots don't just happen at the drop of a hat. The same goes for performances. You need to communicate in advance. Realizing his situation, Igarashi Runa also took out her mobile phone, opened the calendar, and marked the dates respectively. I will bring Xiaoyuki to the office the day after tomorrow. If she wants to shoot, it will be included in my schedule. Good. When will the album be released? Do you have an expected time? If the company wants to skyrocket, the first album and the first official performance are both crucial. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly, and then asked. Perhaps 0 Hour is now at its peak on the internet, and its popularity and attention are crazy, but these are all false names, and monetization is the key. Pianists are similar to singers. All activities and promotions are aimed at selling records and concert tickets. If the first album can sell well, the firm will officially take off, because capital will see zero commercial value. I'll give you an answer as soon as possible. After Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it, he did not give an answer immediately. Currently, 6 piano pieces for the album have been decided, including Croatian Rhapsody, Flight of the Bumblebee, and The Bell, as well as the romantic piano pieces Adelina by the Water, Wedding in a Dream, and Autumn Whispers. He had already checked, and 10 songs on the piano album were enough. The remaining piano music has yet to be filled in, but which piano music to choose is a question. The days tend to be longer in summer. As night falls, it's already 7:30 in the evening. All kinds of work have been completed, many matters have been negotiated, and even dinner has been taken out. I want to work more this summer. I want to develop my office as soon as possible. Please help me think of more ways. After talking about work matters, Kurosawa Hikaru sat on the sofa and looked at the time, not forgetting to remind her. Although he still liked being an artist, after realizing Miss Ninamaya's plight, he had another reason to work hard. You are so popular now. Just by updating the video on YouTube, you can achieve great publicity. You are even famous in foreign countries. It is probably difficult to find cooperation with good results. It doesn't have to be good publicity, just enough to make money, but it can't be the kind of endorsement for kawaii piano. It's best to be an endorsement like Cat Party. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't insist on this and smiled. To be honest, kawaii's sky-high endorsement price is both a pity for him. Because kawaii's 10 billion is not that easy to get, it requires a lot of performances. I know you don't have that much time to run around. Igarashi Runa naturally understood his situation. Falling in love takes up a lot of time for artists. At this point in the conversation, the topic has ended, because we have finished talking about business matters. If we continue to talk, it will be private matters. Talking too much about personal matters is not a good thing for men and women. Shouldn't the video release time be set at midnight in the morning? Kurosawa realized that it would be more than 4 hours before the video was released, and he suddenly regretted it. In fact, waiting for 4 hours is not a big problem. The key is to wait with Ms. Runa. 0 o'clock in the morning is a good time, and it corresponds to your stage name. Fans are very happy with this time arrangement. Igarashi Runa was using her mobile phone to communicate with someone, and responded when she heard the words. You are tired. Suddenly, Igarashi Runa noticed something and asked. If Kurosawa is still on the same schedule as the archery competition, he should wake up around 7 a.m. and stay up until 12 p.m., which is quite tiring. A little sleepy, how about you? After hearing this inquiry, Kurosawa Hikaru seemed to understand something, and then asked. Sleepy, this is a good reason. He will find a chance to pretend to be asleep later and delay the time until 12 o'clock, so he doesn't have to worry about being alone. I'm not sleepy at all. Faced with this concern, Igarashi Runa shook his head. The new video will be released soon, how could she be sleepy? Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 328. Speaking of which, do you have any idea about a photographer's personal website? Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she was in high spirits and could definitely wait until 0 o'clock in the morning. He suddenly thought of a topic and asked. A photographer's personal website is similar to a blog. Do you want to start a personal website? Igarashi Runa was communicating with someone while holding her mobile phone in one hand. After responding, she realized something and raised her eyes to look at him. As a gold medal agent, apart from her own job, she has only a little knowledge of various professional fields. She basically knows a little bit, but not much. That's why she could see that Ichino's Yuki's photographer was of a very high standard, perhaps not as good as some masters, but still very professional. And this photographer is Hikaru Kurosawa. If he wants to develop in the photography industry, it is feasible. Don't I want to be a photographer for Xiao Yuki? I want to have another channel to promote her. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded, told her plan, and wanted to hear her opinion. That's good. If your photography is famous, if you shoot her alone, you can achieve mutual success. However, a personal website is of little use. If a photographer wants to become famous, the best way is to use a high-traffic website like Twitter. Social platforms. Igarashi Runa's eyes lit up and she immediately became energetic. Personal relationships aside, Yuki Ichinos really has potential as a model. Maybe she is too tall to be a supermodel, but her height of over 1.6 meters and her stunning beauty are extremely popular in the fashion industry in Asia. And her ability to attract fans is also very strong. With 2 sets of photos, she has more than 500,000 fans on Twitter. She has become an internet celebrity without formal business activities, office operations, and packaging. Although her number of fans is very fake, most of them are fake fans who are just watching the fun and attracted purely by her appearance. They are mainly attracted by the fact that she is a female high school student, a hot girl JK, and she has been involved in scandals and controversies. But no matter what, her attractive appearance has been proven by the market. I know that in addition to personal websites, platforms like Twitter will naturally not be missed. After getting her approval, Kurosawa Hikaru also made a decision. I can help you run the account. You just need to take photos and leave the rest to me. Okay, speaking of which, what's the earning power of a model? While thinking, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious. His knowledge of the modeling industry was limited to searches on the internet. It depends on what you compare it with. If you compare it with you, even the most profitable models are not as exaggerated as you can attract tens of billions of sky-high contracts with just one video and one performance. The annual income is 5 billion yen, not counting the other endorsements you can receive. Igarashi Runa didn't know what he expected, but just sighed. After so long, she felt filled with emotion every time she thought about the sky-high contract offered by Kawaii. 10 billion yen in 2 years. If such an endorsement comes through, it will definitely be big news. According to the current exchange rate, it is equivalent to US $75 million in 2 years. Although it is a bit hard work, the amount is really exaggerated. Basically, as long as you sign the contract and work hard for 2 years, you will have wealth and freedom. I just want to know, if Yuki-chan becomes a famous model, can she afford a supercar and a mansion? Kurosawa Hikaru explained without wanting to compare one with another. Xiao Yuki's current goal and ideal is to buy him a supercar, and then buy a mansion as their home. The purpose of his asking this question was to know whether Xiao Yuki's ideal could be realized. Although the neon model industry is not as lucrative as the supermodel industry in Europe and the United States, if you are very famous, there is no problem buying these things. Knowing what he wanted to ask, Igarashi Runa said immediately. That's fine. After confirming this, Kurosawa Hikaru felt relieved. Let me tell you in advance that I am a person who distinguishes between public and private affairs. I don't hate Miss Ichinos. After she signs the contract, if I find a business cooperation for her, if it is very busy and hard, don't think that I am abusing her to avenge myself. When mentioning this matter, Igarashi Runa thought about it and made it clear first. I know you don't hate her. If not, you wouldn't tell Miss Ninomiya about her joining the agency for me. She wants to be a model, and I will ask you to protect her in the future. When Kurosawa Hikaru heard this, he shook his head and smiled. Speaking of which, you still call Chizuru Miss Ninomiya, why don't you change it? Hearing this, Igarashi Runa couldn't help but roll her eyes at him, and was secretly happy in her heart. Even if he had some conscience, he also noticed his way of addressing him. I originally planned to change, but the relationship is very stiff now. Let's wait until we get back together and then change. Speaking of this, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled bitterly. I couldn't change it before because Miss Ninomiya is a teacher at Tokyo University. After she resigned, She could have put aside this relationship and changed her title to something else, but after the quarrel, even normal chatting became a problem, and there was no way to change her title. Actually, according to me, when you saw her last night, you should just hug her and kiss her fiercely. Although she was heartbroken by you, she still has you in her heart. Seeing his situation, Igarashi Runa couldn't help but said. It's not that easy. You don't know the way she looks at me. Hearing such love tricks, Kurosawa Hikaru was very sad. This kind of treatment method that is only available in TV dramas simply does not work in reality. Because when he met Miss Ninomiya, he had to muster the courage to say hello. How could he have the courage to forcefully kiss her when he felt guilty? What's it like? Is it scary? Igarashi Runa's heart moved and she was very curious. That's not the case. I'm just looking at you sadly and complicatedly, like looking at a heartless man. Kurosawa Hikaru felt helpless when he thought about what happened and what happened last night. Oh. Realizing that Chizuru was not in the extremely terrifying situation before, Igarashi Runa shrugged and immediately lost interest. I'll go out and make a phone call. Then, she picked up the phone, took a look at it, and stood up. Who to call? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little concerned. For YouTube review, the video will be sent to them in advance so that they can release it on time at 12 o'clock. Runa Igarashi walked out the door. Knowing that it was a work matter, Kurosawa Hikaru stopped interfering and instead picked up his phone to play with it. He explained to Xiaoyuki that he would be busy until after 12 o'clock tonight and would not be able to go home early to chat with her. In addition, he also did not forget to send a message to Ninomiya Chizuru. I'm at the office, waiting with Ms. Runa to post a new video at 0 o'clock in the morning. Good night today, it's definitely not that early, explain the situation to her. This message quickly became read, obviously after get off work. Unexpectedly, after a while, Miss Ninomiya replied to him, I hope there will be good results. Do you want to come and see it? After seeing this reply, Kurosawa Hikaru was no longer so excited that he would break his phone, but his mind became more active. From this point of view, if you want to talk to Miss Ninomiya, talking about business is a good way to go, and she has room to respond. If this is the case, then through official business, maybe I can have more opportunities to meet her. Although the atmosphere of the meeting will be strange because there are unresolved grudges, the solution to misunderstandings and estrangements lies in communication and meeting. You have to get up early to go to work tomorrow, and you can't stay up late. After a while, Ninomiya Chizuru replied. Then you should rest well. Realizing her reasons, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't refute, but he didn't force it. As long as they can talk, their relationship can be saved. In total, it had been exactly a week since the quarrel. He had broken her heart, and it was already rare that she was still willing to reply to his messages. The same as you. At this point, the conversation was ended. After contacting her daily, Kurosawa looked at the time and saw that it was not yet 8 p.m. It's time to pretend to be asleep. His hearing was very keen, and he vaguely heard someone talking on the phone outside the door, and he had an idea. Then, he looked at the sofa, moved to the 3-seat couch and sat down. He took another pillow, lay down and tried it. Although he couldn't fully stretch his legs and feet, it had little effect. He didn't want to go back to the room and pretend to sleep, because it would be impolite to do so and it would be equivalent to leaving Miss Runa here alone. After another 2 minutes, the door was opened. Are you done talking? Kurosawa Hikaru asked when he saw her coming back. You can upload the video. He will intercept it in the background and help us set the time at 0 o'clock. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly, then walked over, pulled out the laptop and started operating it. You know so many people and have so many privileges. Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but be surprised. If it were him, he would never be able to do this. It's okay. I didn't have so many privileges before. The key is the number of fans of this account. I can be said to be a well-known YouTuber. It's normal to have some privileges. Runa Igarashi, who was operating the computer, felt a little happy and proud when he heard the compliment. Done. With a few operations, Igarashi Runa quickly finished it. Miss Runa, I'm a little sleepy. Let's take a nap first. After she solved the problem of uploading the video, Hikaru Kurosawa's acting skills came online. He yawned, rubbed the corners of his eyes with his hands and said. After that, he lay down directly, kicked his feet lightly, and took off his shoes. Are you going to sleep here? Seeing him curling up slightly on the sofa, Igarashi Runa was shocked. Just sleep for a while. If you feel bored alone, you can wake me up. Kurosawa nodded slightly, adjusted the pillow, and said. Wait a minute, I'll get you a quilt and pillow. Realizing that he was really sleepy and wanted to sleep, Igarashi Runa said quickly. After that, she stood up and walked out of the room quickly. She came back soon, quilt and pillow in hand. Thank you. There is a difference between a pillow and a back pillow, so Kurosawa Hikaru took it. Are you a light sleeper? Why don't you go back to your room and sleep? I'm afraid I'll disturb you later. Watching him put on a pillow with a suitable height and cover him with a quilt, Igarashi Runa felt that it was not possible and suggested. Before the video is released, she still has a lot of preparation work, such as finding someone to do publicity and making news immediately, so it is inevitable that there will be some movement. If I'm so sleepy that I want to sleep, I usually sleep very hard and won't be woken up easily. If you can't wake me up by shouting later, just push my arm hard. Kurosawa Hikaru was not sleepy at all, he just wanted to spend these long 4 hours by pretending to sleep, and he was not afraid of being disturbed. You can never wake up a person who pretends to sleep. Sleeping soundly. Hearing this, Igarashi Runa's heart jumped. This is too tempting, is he hinting at me? Good night. Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she had nothing to say, and he didn't know what she was thinking, so he greeted her and closed his eyes. Good night. Igarashi Runa came back to her senses and responded in a low voice. 2 more updates are here. The updates today and tomorrow will be earlier, because I have something to do and it is close to the new year, so I have to adjust my schedule. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 329. What other piano music is suitable to add to the album? Kurosawa Hikaru lay on the sofa, closed his eyes and fell into deep thought. In terms of piano albums, he could perform and record pieces like Liszt's The Bell in his own style. But no matter how strong his piano skills are, The Bell, as a famous piano piece, is already an old thing to those who know how to play it. In contrast, piano music that does not exist in this world, such as Croatian Rhapsody and Adelina by the Water, can make fans and listeners feel fresher and more likely to pay for it. Whether you can get the audience to pay for it is very important. Take movies as an example. Big productions that invest a lot of money are not guaranteed to be successful. The key lies in novel and exciting stories. The same goes for records. Although he didn't do much research on records and albums in his previous life, he still knew some things through his eyes and ears. For example, songs such as Mice Love Rice, Invisible Wings, and Little Apple are all the rage across the country. They do not rely on the difficulty of stacking their singing skills to win. The key is that these songs are easier to be recognized. For example, those songs whose singing skills are immediately obvious are not so easy to become popular on the streets. Knowing this truth, he also tried to find more piano music that did not exist in this world from the memories of his previous life. It doesn't matter even if he can't remember the whole song. As long as he can remember a section, he can rely on his proficient piano skills to constantly fill in the notes and beats to find the feeling of the melody. So far, This is the case for all piano music except the bell. What he said just now, were he hinting at me? As Hikaru Kurosawa closed his eyes and pretended to sleep, he was actually thinking about a problem. Runa Igarashi was sitting on the sofa nearby, operating his mobile phone, but he was absent-minded, unintentional to work, and thinking about a problem. Children's words are unbridled, and what a child says can be taken literally. But the adult world is not that simple. A sentence can be interpreted as different meanings depending on the occasion, changes in tone of voice, and even factors such as eyes and expressions. In fact, she doesn't like to interpret what other people are hiding behind their words. Because the results of digging to the root are often unsatisfactory. But what Kurosawa Hikaru just said was simply tempting people to commit a crime. It's like a girl telling a boy, "I drink very little and get drunk easily but still wants to drink with you." It's completely sending a signal that I'm not on guard against you. Kurosawa knew that he slept very badly. Even though he had a room and a bed to sleep on, he didn't go back to the room to sleep. Instead, he slept in front of her, preferring to sleep on the sofa. It was really difficult not to let go in such a situation. She thinks too much. While thinking, Igarashi Runa's eyes involuntarily glanced at Kurosawa Hikaru's sleeping face, but she didn't dare to look more every time. She just glanced at it and then took it back, for fear of being discovered. After testing for a few minutes, she found that Kurosawa's breathing was very even and regular, and he was obviously in a deep sleep, so she went to see him with confidence. That handsome face is still very beautiful even if you close your eyes. So handsome. Looking at his charming and handsome sleeping face openly, Igarashi Runa couldn't help but sigh in her heart. From the manager's point of view, Kurosawa Hikaru's looks could really make him an idol star. From a woman's perspective, Kurosawa Hikaru is really handsome and charming. He has deep facial features, fair skin, extraordinary appearance, and his eyes are particularly beautiful. Although her appearance is outstanding, Igarashi Runa has seen too many handsome guys and doesn't care about appearance that much. What attracted her most to Kurosawa was the sense of mystery. Being in the mixed entertainment industry, she has seen too many people, some are good and some are bad, some are outstanding and some are mediocre, some are sparkling and some are lackluster. Even if she can't see his true face at first glance, as long as she contacts him a few times, she can vaguely feel the person and thoughts of the other person. But only Kurosawa Hikaru, she really couldn't see through. This feeling is very subtle and difficult to describe and describe. He is so different that it is impossible to generalize and use past experience to look at his words and deeds. Just like now, she couldn't guess what Kurosawa Hikaru was thinking. Is he really asleep? Looking at his handsome and charming sleeping face, Igarashi Runa once again had tangled thoughts in her heart. At this moment, there were two possibilities before her. The first possibility is that Kurosawa didn't hint to her at all, but simply fell asleep. The second possibility is that Kurosawa was hinting to her that in fact he was not sleeping at all, but pretending to be asleep and not being on guard against her, no matter what she wanted to do. Trying to guess what others are thinking is actually similar to reasoning. But reasoning requires evidence. If there is no evidence, then all speculations are just conjectures. What the truth is must be verified to know. Runa, do you want to be a coward for the rest of your life, or do you want to be a hero? Even if it's only for a few minutes. Weighing the pros and cons, Igarashi Runa also realized the root cause of the difficulty in choosing. Would you rather do nothing than make a mistake, or would you rather make a mistake than do nothing? These two choices mean two completely different results. Having said that, in the world of adults, there are not only two choices of right and wrong, but also compromise. Kurosawa Hikaru, who was thinking about the problem, was very focused. After all, the piano score was very complicated. Even if it was the same note, there would be a difference in the rhythm. He owns a proficient piano, and even if he doesn't need a piano, he can put the notes together in his mind and play piano music. Kurosawa. But at this moment, with his mind filled with the sound of the piano, he suddenly heard a soft call. This is Miss Runa's voice. Her voice is very soft and gentle. She is very close and I don't know how she came here. Is it 11:30? Hearing this call, Kurosawa Hikaru did not respond immediately. Instead, he kept pretending to sleep, feeling confused. With his entry-level acting skills, pretending to be asleep is a piece of cake for him. He just said that he was a deep sleeper and was not easily woken up. If he woke up after being shouted at, his words and deeds were completely inconsistent. It shouldn't be 11:30 yet. After thinking carefully, Kurosawa Hikaru realized that he hadn't even conceived a piano piece, so it shouldn't have been as long as a few hours, and confirmed the situation. Kurosawa. Immediately afterwards, Igarashi Runa's voice sounded again, and the volume became louder. Her voice is nice and gentle, making you feel like a spring breeze. Although she is resolute, efficient, and capable at work, like a strong woman, in private she is actually a gentle and virtuous woman. When a person closes his eyes, other senses will be significantly improved. Before Kurosawa Hikaru could savor her voice, he suddenly felt something touch his arm and push him gently. Faced with this situation, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't react at all. It would be more reasonable to at least wait until she had stronger strength before waking up. Aren't you even awake? You slept so hard. After calling twice to no avail, Igarashi Runa muttered to herself, then turned around and left. Ah! But before she could take a few steps, she suddenly screamed in pain and even took a sharp breath. Hearing this cry of pain, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly lost his composure and instinctively opened his eyes to see what was going on. However, when he turned around and looked over, he saw the back of Igarashi Runa. She was standing a few steps away, bent over, next to the corner of the table. This position reminds me of the scream of pain just now. Did you accidentally hit the corner of the table when you turned around? Are you okay? Shocked by this, Kurosawa Hikaru lifted the quilt and rushed to her side, reaching out to support her arm. While caring, he also looked at her injuries. However, when he lowered his head and looked, Igarashi Runa's thighs were fleshy, but her calves were well proportioned and slender legs, but they were smooth and traceless, with no injuries at all. At the same time, he felt a strong gaze, raised his head and met a pair of beautiful eyes. Her beautiful eyes seemed to be able to speak, expressing the meaning of sure enough. That's too much. Why did you lie to me? Seeing her look, Kurosawa Hikaru realized that she was lying to him, so he let go of her support and said angrily. You lied to me first. You were obviously not sleepy, but you were pretending to be asleep. Igarashi Runa, who was just about to hold him accountable, didn't expect that he was the villain who complained first. He couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and then got angry. Pretending to sleep? Who pretends to sleep? Facing her accusation, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little confused. Who else could it be but you? Igarashi Runa was very angry about him pretending to sleep and stared at him. Fortunately, she was smart enough to withstand the temptation. She did not do anything wrong, but tested him first. If she had been short-sighted just now and just listened to this guy's words and done something, she would have been in trouble. I'm not pretending to sleep, what are you talking about? Faced with her dissatisfaction, Kurosawa Hikaru refused to acknowledge the matter of pretending to sleep. This matter must not be implemented, because once it is implemented, first of all, it is impolite, and secondly, if she asks why are you pretending to sleep, there is no way to explain it. He can't say, I know you like me, but he's worried that being alone with you for too long will make the atmosphere awkward, right? It would be really embarrassing if I really said this. The evidence is solid, do you still want to quibble? I just didn't wake you up even when I called you twice, and you didn't even react when I pushed your body. You were sleeping like a dead pig. As a result, I just screamed in pain. He immediately came back to life. He was obviously pretending to be asleep. Igarashi Runa didn't expect that he wouldn't admit it, so she simply said, I really didn't pretend to be asleep, I was woken up by you. Awakened by a fright. I was sleeping soundly, but I vaguely heard your voice that seemed to be in pain, and I was frightened to wake up by you. I saw you standing here bending over, as if you had hit the corner of the table and was injured. I was frightened by you. Woke up. You want to say that you were so fast asleep that you couldn't hear me waking you up, or even feel me pushing you, but you could hear the sound of my injury. Igarashi Runa was stunned when he heard this and confirmed. Yeah, it turns out you were lying to me. Kurosawa nodded, and then looked at her angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, a system voice suddenly sounded in his ears. First date with Igarashi Runa mission progress update, make her shy 2/3. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 330. Is he really asleep? But even if he was sleeping very soundly, he still reacted when he felt that I was injured. Facing his dissatisfied eyes, Igarashi Runa was not afraid, but her heartbeat accelerated. Actual actions are more powerful than any words. If he really didn't pretend to sleep, but was really sleeping very soundly, he couldn't hear her waking up, nor could he feel her pushing him, but he could vaguely hear the sound of her being injured. What does that mean? He still cares about me very much. As this thought came up, Igarashi Runa's heart seemed to jump out of her chest. She felt a little surprised, but more shy. She recalled what happened just now. When she deliberately screamed in pain, Kurosawa almost instantly came to her side to help her and care about her injuries. He didn't even have time to put on his shoes. At the same time, Kurosawa Hikaru, who heard the system prompt, was a little confused. He looked over subconsciously and saw Miss Runa lowering her head. The ears and delicate earlobes between her short silver-gray hair were as red and beautiful as cherries on a tree. The most beautiful side of a woman is the blush of shyness. Seeing her shy look, Kurosawa Hikaru's heartbeat also accelerated a little. It was too cute. In fact, not everyone will blush when they feel shy, but it varies from person to person. When Xiaoyuki feels shy, her face will blush, so red that it seems that blood will drip out. When Miss Ninomiya feels shy, there is no difference on her face, but her beautiful white neck will slightly blush, revealing her thoughts. And Igarashi Runa's shyness, I didn't notice it the first time. Now it seems that she is the type whose ears will turn red when she is shy. Fortunately, the task requires shyness, not heartbeat. Unable to help but look at it a few more times, Kurosawa Hikaru retracted his gaze and comforted himself in his heart. In order to cover up the fact that he pretended to sleep, he could only say that he woke up because he was scared. Although this statement is intriguing, self-defeating, and even made her shy, but the words that have been said cannot be taken back. Fortunately, shyness and heartbeat are different concepts. After all, it is quite simple to make people shy. Just make them do something embarrassing. But to make people fall in love, you must do something or say something to touch her heartstrings. I'm sorry. Igarashi Runa realized that he cared about her and thought about the temptation and deception just now, and felt guilty. It's okay. You just said you wanted to wake me up. What's the matter? Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and asked, taking the initiative. It's okay. You are sleeping and I am bored waiting alone. You just said that I can wake you up if I feel bored. Speaking of the reason, Igarashi Runa hesitated and came up with a reason. In fact, she didn't want to wake Kurosawa Hikaru just now, but just wanted to try whether he was really asleep or pretending to sleep. If he was really asleep, she might not be able to resist the temptation and do something to the defenseless Kurosawa Hikaru. If he was pretending to sleep, just pretend nothing happened. Sorry, I woke up very early today. I was really sleepy, so I slept on the sofa. Kurosawa Hikaru also apologized when he learned about her situation. It was more than 4 hours before midnight. 4 hours, whether long or short, depends on what you are doing. If you have something to do, such as studying or playing games, it will pass quickly. If you just wait, 4 hours is very long, which will make people very anxious and bored, especially when you are waiting alone, and you will find it boring to do anything. If he didn't know that Miss Runa liked him, it would be fine. He and Miss Runa could chat and play games together for more than 4 hours to pass the time. The problem is that after the system revealed this matter, if they were talking about business, it would be fine, but if they were talking about personal matters, he couldn't be calm at all. He always couldn't help thinking about this matter when he pretended that nothing happened to get along with her and chat. Although Miss Runa never said that she liked him, or even showed that she liked him, she hid it very well. But the triggering of the dating mission was like he accidentally saw Miss Runa's diary, a diary that said she liked him. If you feel sleepy, just continue to sleep. Igarashi Runa, who believed that he was not pretending to sleep just now, but was really sleeping, shook her head and said after hearing this apology, "I'm not sleepy now." Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she had calmed down from her shyness, and after thinking about it, he decided not to pretend to sleep. In fact, after what happened just now, he was completely aware of the certification of the dating mission. Even if he didn't admit it, he wanted to care about her as soon as he realized the possibility of her getting hurt, and he didn't care about so much at all. For example, if he reacted immediately, it would lead to the exposure of pretending to sleep, but he even forgot his acting skills. He had a good impression of Miss Runa and cared about her every move. "Are you completely awakened by me? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I thought if you were really asleep, you probably wouldn't hear it." Igarashi Runa felt that he looked at her with a complicated look, and felt very guilty and self-blaming. Testing is actually an excessive behavior, because once you have the thought of testing, it means you don't trust someone. It was okay when they first met. She didn't understand Kurosawa Hikaru, and she had a good reason to test his character for Chizuru. "It's okay, I've had enough sleep. What time is it now?" Kurosawa shook his head and asked, changing the subject. "About 8 o'clock. In response to this question, Igarashi Runa turned back and looked at the other sofa, which was her mobile phone. She couldn't tell the exact time, but she had a general idea. Is it still that long before 0 o'clock? Although Kurosawa Hikaru could guess that he had only been pretending to sleep for a short time, he didn't expect that he felt a headache after only such a short time. There was actually no difference between 4 hours and 3 hours. The key was that he did not dare to be alone with Miss Runa for too long. If he accidentally had something happen to Miss Runa and hooked up with Miss Ninamaya's best friend, it would be even harder to coax her. "It's been a long time indeed, are you really not going to sleep? Why don't we sleep together?" Igarashi Runa also felt that this time was a long time, and after thinking deeply, he suggested. Hearing this statement, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but be surprised. What kind of development is this? In this situation, it's like he leveled his A, and Ms. Runa's counterattack was a super kill. "I'm saying you go back to your room and sleep. I'll go back to mine and set the alarm. Don't get me wrong." Igarashi Runa came back to her senses and realized her mistake. She immediately panicked and hurriedly changed her words. She really didn't want to sleep with Kurosawa. What she wanted to say was that the two of them slept at the same time and in different places. "So that's it, that's not bad. In fact, I don't want to sleep anymore because I'm afraid you'll be bored." But if you sleep too, you don't have to worry about this problem. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't think about her slip of the tongue and thought the suggestion was a good one. Each goes back to his own room, not to his own home. When the time comes, the two of them can still witness the release of the new video together. The key is different rooms. If two people are separated for the reason of sleeping, they don't have to worry about being alone together. Yes, and the office has reserved 3 special rooms. It would be such a waste if they are not used all the time. Reaching a consensus, Igarashi Runa nodded slightly and also said. She didn't think much about it, she just blamed herself for waking Kurosawa Hikari and wanted to make it up to him. See you later then. Kurosawa looked at the pillows and quilts on the sofa, then turned around and asked. See you later. Igarashi Runa nodded. After saying that, Kurosawa turned around, picked up the pillow and quilt, looked at her, and wanted to walk out. Kurosawa, wait a minute. Seeing his actions, Igarashi Runa suddenly called out to him. What's wrong? Kurosawa Hikaru stopped and turned to look at her. Your pillow and quilt are from my room. Looking at his movements holding pillows and quilts, Igarashi Runa, who always felt strangely cute, hesitated for 2 seconds, and then said. Is that so? Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned. The quilt and pillow didn't smell to him. They just smelled like new and washed. They were not tainted at all with the rich and intoxicating fragrance of Miss Common AI. Originally, I wanted to enter your room and help you get pillows and quilts, but I always felt that it was not good to enter your room. Igarashi Runa nodded. Because she is not very busy at work, she has not slept in the office yet, and the quilt and pillows are basically new. Then give it back to you. Realizing this situation, Kurosawa Hikaru handed her the pillow and quilt. Give it back to me. Igarashi Runa was a little shocked when she saw this action. In fact, when she mentioned this, she wanted Kurosawa to bring out the new quilt and pillows in his room for her when he returned to his room later. Didn't you say this is yours? Kurosawa nodded. Yes. Igarashi Runa followed the topic and took it. See you later. If the alarm clock doesn't wake me up, remember to wake me up and just knock on the door with more strength. With his hands empty and his body relaxed, Kurosawa Hikaru waved to her and walked out of the room. While walking, he did not forget to yawn, pretending to be sleepy. Immediately afterwards, he walked out, leaving Igarashi Runa alone in the lounge. She stood there without moving for a long time, only to hear the sound of the door closing in the room not far away. Igarashi Runa looked down at the quilt and pillow in her arms where Kurosawa Hikari had slept on, feeling a little dazed. Suck. By some strange mistake, she couldn't help raising her arms, burying her face on the pillow and quilt, taking a deep breath and smelling the smell. There was a faint smell on the quilt, which was very fragrant and intoxicating, and she liked it very much. After taking a few deep breaths, Igarashi Runa's body suddenly stiffened, she woke up suddenly, and put her head back. Runa, are you crazy? Thinking of what she had just done, Igarashi Runa's shame almost exploded. She looked around a few times to make sure no one could see her, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Then she hugged the quilt and pillow, turned off the light in the lounge, and went back to her room. At the same time, Kurosawa Hikaru, who had returned to the room, took off his socks and lay on the bed, suddenly saw a line of words appearing in front of his eyes. First date with Igarashi Runa mission progress update, make her shy 3/3, the goal has been completed. What's going on? Kurosawa Hikaru was confused when he saw the system's text prompt. He had already broken up with Miss Runa, so why was she still shy? 2 more chapters here. I have something to do today, so I have to accompany my wife to the hospital for a checkup. Tokyo's most affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 331. The room in the office is very simple, without too many personal belongings. Kurosawa Hikaru lay on the bed, set an alarm on his mobile phone, and entered the thinking state again. As for the shy task goal, he didn't think about it inexplicably. Because there is a difficult problem that he needs to solve, which is the selection of songs for the album. When people enter a state of complete concentration, their attention is too focused, and their perception of other things will decrease, including time. Ring ring ring. As the alarm sounded, Kurosawa Hikaru opened his eyes, took the phone and turned it off. Is it 11:30? After taking a look at the time on the phone, Kurosawa Hikaru sat up directly. However, when he sat up, he felt dizzy and dry mouth. This is the sequelae of overthinking. It takes a lot of thought and brain cells to simulate the sound of piano music in the mind with notes and beats. Although he noticed this situation, he didn't care too much and got up. This situation was not unfamiliar to him, because in the past, when he was studying and reading, facing some obscure topics, he often had such problems when he tried his best to solve them. It was better to say that this time it was easy, at least his eyes didn't hurt. After putting on his shoes and socks, he got up and walked out of the house, poured a glass of water in the lounge, and went to the toilet. After solving the physical problem, Kurosawa Hikaru sat on the sofa, still feeling a little dizzy. Although his body was strengthened many times by various permanent rewards, it was not so easy to get sleepy and tired, but long-term mental activities were more tiring than physical work. After watching the response of the new video and witnessing that moment, he would definitely go home and sleep as soon as possible. Not long after, a person walked in at the door of the lounge, and it was Igarashi Runa. Igarashi Runa might have just woken up, her hair was a little messy and deformed, and it didn't look as neatly combed as usual, giving people a lazy feeling. Kurosawa, did you get enough sleep? As she approached the lounge, she saw Kurosawa Hikaru and asked. Maybe because she had just woken up, her voice was a little gentler than usual. I got enough sleep. You look like you slept well. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't sleep at all. Seeing her state, he couldn't help but laugh. I'm so sleepy. I shouldn't sleep like this. Igarashi Runa walked to an empty sofa and sat down. Her upper body fell sideways on the sofa. She yawned and squinted her eyes, like a cat that didn't get enough sleep. After she returned to the room, she went to sleep only after finishing her work. She slept for less than 2 hours. For her, this sleep was almost like a nap. It didn't make her feel refreshed at all. Instead, it completely released her fatigue and she wanted to sleep more. Drink some water and wash your face. Seeing that she looked very tired, Kurosawa Hikaru stood up, picked up her cup on the table, poured her a glass of water, and walked in front of her. Thank you. Igarashi Runa opened her eyes, saw her cup, and then looked up to see him. She sat up with her hands on the sofa, and took it and drank it with both hands. Hearing her lazy and cute thanks, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but look sideways. When a person just wakes up, it is actually the most real time of a person's personality. Because after a person falls asleep, the brain is still in a daze and has not yet fully turned on. If you don't pay attention, it will show a completely different side from the awake state. I wonder what Miss Ninomiya looks like when she just wakes up. Upon realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but think. Just then, Igarashi Runa drank half a glass of water, and her mind gradually became clear. She looked up and saw Kurosawa Hikaru in front of her. One person was sitting, and the other was standing, looking at each other. I'm going to wash my face. The next moment, Igarashi Runa hurriedly stood up and ran away. She ran out of the lounge and went to the bathroom, where she stood in front of the mirror and washed her face. Runa, Runa, you are such a pervert. As the tap water cools, Igarashi Runa looks at herself in the mirror. Thinking of what happened just now, she feels her face burning. She is too ashamed to face Kurosawa Hikaru. No one knows what she did in the room alone, but she knows it very well. She was not sleepy at all. She went back to the room and was still working, preparing to run new activities. But after spending an hour to finish her work, she noticed the quilt and pillow that Kurosawa Hikaru had slept on because she had nothing to do. She couldn't help but run to the bed. It was obviously an ordinary quilt and pillow, but as soon as she smelled the scent of Kurosawa Hikaru, she felt restless and had a lot of fantasies. As a result, she didn't feel sleepy at all, but she fell asleep in the end, and she slept very soundly, more soundly than she usually sleeps at home. That's why she was woken up by the alarm clock and was in a confused state. After a long self-blame, Igarashi Runa solved the 3 urgent things, went back to the room to get a bag, and touched up her makeup. After she had completely tidied up her appearance, she returned to the lounge. How long will it take? Igarashi Runa completely sobered up. Although she was possessed by the devil and had done something wrong, she still looked normal. 12 minutes. Kurosawa Hikaru looked at the time and responded. The exciting moment is coming. Igarashi Runa warmed up the audience with a sentence, then walked to the sofa and sat down, opening the laptop. How long will we watch it later? Kurosawa Hikaru asked without rushing to sit over and watch with her. In fact, he didn't want to wait until midnight AM today, but went home after finishing his work. But Miss Runa was particularly excited about the release of the new work. After the recording work was done, she was very excited and looked forward to it more than him. Women always attach great importance to the sense of ritual, and there are some special moments. Because it was hard to refuse the kindness, he really couldn't say that he wanted to go home, so he let it go until now. Fortunately, it was almost midnight AM, and he would be able to go home and sleep peacefully soon. Looking at the response and data in the first hour, if there is a professional team, the new work must pay attention to data promotion within 24 hours, strictly control the reputation, and guide the topic. Igarashi Runa is not pursuing a sense of ceremony, but it is a job. For artists, every work, activity, and performance is a test. Because artists are public figures living under the spotlight, every word and action is extremely important, let alone new works. Sometimes, even if a popular artist takes 99 steps correctly, as long as one step is wrong, it is possible to fall from the top of the cloud to the bottom of the cliff. Guide the topic. Isn't it just looking at the video data? Seeing her serious look, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious. Fans' behavior, idols pay the bill. Although idols are better not to restrict fans' freedom of speech, in order to avoid some extreme situations, they still have to guide and interfere if they have the ability. Indeed. Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru immediately understood. In the eyes of fans, under the blessing of idol filters, sometimes a trivial matter will be sought after and paid attention to by them. If the things that fans boast about are true, it is fine, but if not, it can easily cause problems. For example, in the eyes of fans, idols are beautiful and gorgeous, and they are boasted about in various ways, but in the eyes of passersby, it may not be so, which can easily ruin passersby's popularity and attract the whole network to blacken them. Before, you just posted a video, and it was actually fine at the beginning. As a result, some fans started a bad example and said that you are the god of piano, which directly attracted various pianists, piano students, and people who understand piano to criticize. Fortunately, you have hard skills. Igarashi Runa thought of the previous things and couldn't help saying. For this matter, she had mixed feelings before. The good thing is that controversy represents a very high degree of discussion, which directly brought extremely considerable traffic and attention to 0 Hour, and even received an invitation from the organizer of the Kawaii piano competition. The bad thing is that controversy represents the intensification of contradictions, which is difficult to end and interfere. From the results, the previous war between fans and passers-by still ended well. Because Kurosawa Hikaru played lists the bells with absolute strength, and amazed everyone with his amazing piano skills. That night, if there was no performance of the piano piece The Bells, even if Kurosawa played Adeline at the waterside, it would be difficult to shut everyone up. What's more, the performance that night directly made Zero Hour completely a god, causing a sensation across the country and even becoming famous overseas. That was really serious, and this extreme situation must be prevented from happening. Thinking of that incident, Kurosawa Hikaru had some experience. I outsourced a public relations team to handle this matter this time. When the agency develops, I will find a way to help you form a professional team. After explaining, Igarashi Runa also explained. She has been communicating with people on her mobile phone tonight, that is, she is contacting people from the public relations team. Thank you for your hard work. Realizing what she did, Kurosawa Hikaru also said. If it were him alone, he would never pay so much attention and just post the video. Although he wanted to pretend that it didn't matter if this happened again, I would take action, but some things are better to avoid if they can be avoided. You too. Igarashi Runa smiled. Everyone has their own responsibilities, and these are all she can do. Kurosawa was also very hard when recording songs in the afternoon. Although Kurosawa's work doesn't seem to be hard at all, he only needs to play each piano piece once, and record the video once. There are still 2 minutes. At this time, Igarashi Runa looked at the computer screen and said, "Here it comes." Hearing this reminder, Kurosawa Hikaru also stood up and walked to her side, sitting down and looking at the computer screen with her. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 332. There are 20 seconds left. At the same time, in a villa in Hokkaido, Kitajima Shizuka opened the YouTube homepage of Zero Hour. Her eyes were always fixed on the screen, looking at the time in the lower right corner of the screen. In order to see the video as soon as possible, she even adjusted the computer settings and changed the clock display to show XX seconds. 20 seconds is very short and fleeting. After 23 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds, it will be reset to 0. As the 0 o'clock approached, Kitajima Shizuka's finger, which had been on F5 for a long time, pressed it down. The page refreshed, and there was still only one video on the homepage, but she didn't care and continued to refresh. Why is it not there yet? After 5 consecutive refreshes, Kitajima Shizuka was so anxious. God knows how much she admires Master Zero Hour. Since the performance at the Tokyo Cultural Center, half a month has passed. During this period, in addition to daily piano practice and posting new videos, she spent her leisure time either in the comment section of Zero Hour Master's Twitter account, or re-watching Croatian Rhapsody and watching the replay of the Kawaii piano competition. After waiting for so long, she finally waited for Zero Hour Master's new video, and she was so excited. Could it be that there was a problem with the review? With countless refreshes, the time came to 0:00:30, and Kitajima Shizuka still couldn't see the video, and she suddenly felt a little uneasy. The time of 0 o'clock is very meaningful, just corresponding to the stage name of Zero Hour Master. That's why when fans realized that the video was released at 0 o'clock, although some people felt it was late, most people were excited. This is a historic moment. Unlike the gradual accumulation of fans of Croatian Rhapsody, Zero Hour now has a very impressive and huge fan base. For them, seeing the new work of Zero Hour Master on time at 0 o'clock is a pilgrimage. Many people have a hunch that from now on, the new works of Zero Hour Master will appear at 0 o'clock. A successful pilgrimage experience will become the faith of fans. Got it? Just when Kitajima Shizuka was feeling uneasy, she finally saw a new video with another refresh. Flight of the Bumblebee. Moving the mouse over excitedly, she also saw the title of the video and was a little surprised. When participating in guessing the new video today, her inclination was the clock because the fans were enthusiastic and Master Zero was very fond of his fans. Even if it wasn't the clock, it should be Adeline by the water. After all, the live version playback is a completely different audiovisual experience from the single recording, and it is also Master Zero's original new song. I Am Zero. Finally, the video page was opened. There was no need to click to play. The video played automatically. A deep and magnetic voice that was so familiar that it couldn't be more familiar sounded from her headphones. Hearing this familiar opening again, Kitajima Shizuka looked up and saw the familiar tuxedo of Master Zero, but his mask had changed. It was no longer the simple Zero as before, but with many details. 0 hour. Although it was different, she felt goosebumps all over her body when she saw this brand new 0 hour master. She was not a passerby who watched the works of 0 hour master for the first time, but no matter how many times, she felt that 0 hour master would bring her surprises. I Am 0 hour, and this is a piano piece I adapted, called Flight of the Bumblebee. At the same time, many people across the country in Neon held their mobile phones or sat in front of their computers and heard the opening remarks of the video. Immediately afterwards, Kurosawa Hikaru sat in front of the Steinway piano, raising his hands and lowering them. The next moment, a burst of crazy, passionate, and fierce piano sound suddenly sounded. I saw his super beautiful right hand, with slender fingers flying, as if running on the black and white keys. What kind of piano piece is this? It's like a huge wave suddenly appears, sweeping you into the surging sea of piano. It's sometimes close, sometimes far, sometimes up, sometimes down, spectacular, beautiful, light, and extremely aggressive. Everyone was stunned for a moment when they heard such a piano piece, and was directly brought into the world of piano sound. People who understand music and have a sense of music will also increase their ability to appreciate music. Shizuka Kitajima sat in front of the computer, wearing headphones. The moment she heard the piano, she felt the speed of 0 times fingertips running, and the passion bursting out of her body and mind, making her feel that her pulse was rhythmic. Overflowing passion, surging heat, and a sense of rhythm everywhere. The rhythm with such a strong sense of melody, associated with the name of the song Flight of the Wild Bee, she realized that such a piano sound was performing a swarm of bees flying, and she completely entered the world of piano sound. Seeing such a scene, she couldn't help but look at the performance of the master of 0 time. Music is not just as simple as sound. The key lies in the melody and what it wants to express. A piano piece is not just as simple as listening to the piano sound. The performer's expression and movements, as well as the performance techniques, are all part of a piano piece. Maybe Master 0 hour was wearing a mask and his expression couldn't be seen, but his hands were clearly visible when he played. His fingers were so fast that they seemed to leave after images. Obviously, they were incredibly fast, but his fingers were so accurate and steady every time they fell, playing crazy and clear piano sounds. The speed of those fingers was like the constant flapping of bee wings, beautiful and gorgeous, playing incredible and touching music. Listening to such piano music, the heartbeat seemed to be carried away, exciting and disturbing. Unlike the elegance of classical piano music, the performance and connotation of this piece of music give people a very special feeling, with a strong sense of melody. Until the end of the video, Shizuka Kitajima did not react for a long time. She was shocked by this gorgeous and refreshing performance. She couldn't help herself and even forgot to comment after watching the video. Instead, she held the mouse and looked at the introduction. This song is adapted from the famous song Flight of the Bumblebee by Russian composer Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. Seeing this, she suddenly had an impression that she had actually heard this song before. This is an orchestral piece. She had heard the violin version before, but it was the first time she saw it performed by piano. The music of other instruments was adapted into piano works. In fact, lists the bells was adapted from a violin concerto. This is a reinterpretation, a subversive adaptation. Because of the difference in instruments, the playing techniques are also completely different, and even the melody and beat are different. Unlike the bells, you need to feel the magical charm in the climax of the three-part form. This Flight of the Bumblebee will pull people into the ocean of music and immerse them when the hands of Zero Time play the first key. The extreme melody and hand speed make people even feel like they can't breathe. It's so cool. With endless aftertaste, Kitajima Shizuka thought of this short and refreshing audiovisual feast, and was extremely excited and decided to watch it again. First. Finally you. Great. The cover has changed. In the comment section of the video Flight of the Bumblebee, after the video came out, some fans did not watch the video, but rushed to the comment section immediately. It was not until a few minutes later that the comment section began to have comments similar to feelings. When Master Zero Time played, he had a kind of almost casual calmness, so handsome. I like the cold and crazy Master Zero Time. After watching this video, I feel that I am a handicapped person. How did Master Zero Time train his fingers to have no unnecessary movements? Incredible. God of Piano. It's like a magic show, so great. How fast is this hand speed? It's crazy. The response in the comment section was very enthusiastic, and almost every audience was amazed by this audiovisual feast. 70,000 views in 5 minutes, so many fans are watching, and they all give good reviews. Kurosawa, look. At the 0 Hour Agency, Igarashi Runa saw the response in the comment section and the data, and excitedly opened her arms to hug Kurosawa Hikaru next to her, shaking his body to make him look quickly. Look, look. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't dare to use any strength, and was shaken by her. In fact, he was not very surprised by the feeling after listening to Flight of the Bumblebee. You know, this piano piece was a popular piano piece famous all over the world on Earth in his previous life. Compared to this, what surprised him was that in just a few minutes, there were as many as 50,000 views, which means that at 0 o'clock, there are so many fans waiting for his new work. Sorry, I'm too excited. After being extremely excited, Igarashi Runa came to her senses and found that she was hugging Kurosawa Hikaru. She took back the hug and apologized very embarrassedly. This was not the first time, but she really couldn't control it, because Kurosawa brought her too much surprise. It's okay. Kurosawa Hikaru had mixed feelings about her hugging him, but he still shook his head. Physically, being hugged by a beautiful lady like Runa-san was a great pleasure. Emotionally, he felt a little guilty about his secret pleasure, because she was the best friend of Ninomiya-san, his girlfriend's best friend. Wow! After a while, Igarashi Runa refreshed the page again. When she saw the data of the number of views, she couldn't hold back her excitement after finally calming down. 10 minutes, 150,000 views, how many people are watching online? Although she didn't know how many fans were waiting to see it, one thing was certain, the data was explosive. At this moment, she felt very clearly that 0 Hour was really popular and had accumulated a group of loyal and enthusiastic fans. Ring, ring, ring. Just then, Igarashi Runa's phone rang suddenly. Hello. She picked up the phone and took a look. As soon as she stopped looking excited, she answered the call. Sorry, I got it. I'll send it right away. After responding, she hung up the phone and then picked up the phone to operate it. What are you going to send? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious. Post it on Twitter. After discussing it with the public relations team, the direction of the topic this time is to ask everyone what they think of the new song. It is best to cultivate fans to develop the habit of commenting on the work, so that the topic will not go astray so easily. Igarashi Runa, who was rushing to operate, also explained after hearing this. 2 more are sent. Also, please ask for a monthly pass. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 333. The appearance of new works is already eye-catching, and with the new masks, the discussion is extremely heated. Data is not only limited to the number of views of new works, but also in many aspects. For example, the speed of rise, attention, discussion, and enthusiasm of fans are all factors that reflect the fame of artists. With the data of the new works, Igarashi Runa was ecstatic. Although people in the industry went back to their own homes, most of them were paying attention to this moment. This is too exaggerated. Are masked artists so popular? Seeing the crazy growth in the number of views and comments of the video, and the number of fans, the major agencies in the industry were deeply shocked and even envious. Just looking at the effect of this video, the rise of 0 Hour is a foregone conclusion. Most agencies are shocked and yearning, but the reaction of Phantom Star Agency is different. Like other agencies, at midnight in the morning, most of the company's employees and senior executives went back to their own homes. Only some artists with notices and related teams are still working overtime. After returning home, Mia Hamada, who had already taken a shower and lay on the bed, watched the video on her mobile phone as soon as possible. As a singer who debuted for many years in the Showa period but has retired, Mia Hamada has strong basic skills in music. She is not only good at singing, composing and writing lyrics, but also has experience in various musical instruments. Before she retired, she had many works that were popular all over the country and even famous overseas. In the entertainment circle, she is an absolute senior in the field of singers. That's why when she was wearing headphones, watching the video and listening to the performance, she was pulled into the world of piano sound. Flight of the Bumblebee. Seeing the figure sitting in front of the piano and playing with exquisite piano skills on the mobile phone, Mia Hamada's expression froze and her mood was very complicated. Even if she refused to admit it, she even had the idea that as long as Lingxi didn't show up for a day, she would insist that it could not be Kurosawa Hikaru. But in fact, she knew that there was at least a 70% chance that Lingxi was Kurosawa Hikaru. Especially the appearance of this adapted piano piece, Flight of the Bumblebee, the possibility has been raised to a higher level. Why can your piano skills improve so quickly? Thinking of this possibility, Hamada Mia saw the unparalleled piano skills, in addition to regret, more felt incredible. During the review that day, Kurosawa Hikaru's piano skills in playing Flight of the Bumblebee, although he was gifted and promising at a young age, were still a bit immature, giving her a feeling of reading from a script. In comparison, Lingxi's attainments and level in piano, even if he played a piano piece like Croatian Rhapsody, which was not difficult, for those who really knew the business, they could feel his superb piano skills. Lingxi is worthy of the name of a master, but the name of the piano god is too loud and the achievements are too few, so it will attract ridicule. However, Lingxi's performance at the Kawaii Piano Competition in Tokyo Bunka-Kaikan, relying on a piece of Liszt's The Bells, completely confirmed this title. In fact, there are many people in this world who can play Liszt's The Bells. Although it is recognized as a difficult piano piece, many well-known pianists can play it after a long period of practice. However, being able to play a piece does not mean mastering it. The so-called mastering means that the same piano piece can be played by pianists of different levels with very different effects. Looking around the world, she can't even think of a second person who can completely master the bells like 0 Hour, with impeccable integrity, smooth flow, beautiful artistry, and incomparable emotions. It is no exaggeration to say that 0 Hour's level, in her opinion, is a well-deserved piano master, a level that makes her look up to him and amazed. Just like now, this song Flight of the Bumblebee makes her feel that even if the score is given to her, the effect of her performance will definitely pale in comparison. Just when she was distracted, her mobile phone suddenly vibrated a few times, and a message prompt popped up. That was the company's board of directors group, questioning by name. Mia Hamada, do you have anything to say? If it is said that the collaboration between Zero Time and Runa Igarashi is a new song that has never been heard before, it can be said that it is someone else. But the appearance of this song Flight of the Bumblebee shows a lot of things. Whether Zero Time is Kurosawa Hikaru or not, it is an indisputable fact that he has a strong relationship and connection with Kurosawa Hikaru. Even if he is not Kurosawa Hikaru, he is very likely to be Kurosawa Hikaru's piano teacher. With such a teacher, if Phantom Star Agency had signed Kurosawa Hikaru, it would definitely have a bright future. If this Zero Time is really Kurosawa Hikaru, then Phantom Star Agency is equivalent to missing an opportunity to take off and become the leader of the industry. Mia Hamada knows the truth. Facing this question, she, who already felt regretful, clicked into the group and typed a paragraph. I will resign. After taking a deep breath, Mia Hamada sent the message out. After sending this message, her arm suddenly went limp on the bed, and all the strength in her body seemed to be drained away. She knew very well how much loss her arrogance and pride had brought to the company. In fact, she already regretted it when Runa Igarashi chose to resign. But what's the use of regret? There is no regret medicine in this world. Even though she wanted to apologize and took action, Igarashi Runa did not accept her apology at all and did not intend to forgive her. It would have been nice to hear him play one more song, why do we have to give him a blow? Thinking of what happened back then, Hamada Mia couldn't help but sigh. In fact, she was very optimistic about Kurosawa Hikaru. After seeing him play Flight of the Bumblebee, she decided that he would definitely become popular, and she gave her absolute attention and high hopes, and even cherished his talent, intending to train him personally. But the greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. As a newcomer who has not yet debuted, Kurosawa Hikaru dared to impose conditions on the company, and even went so far as to become a masked artist to hide his handsome appearance. He's not even famous yet. If he's not well known, he doesn't know how great the world is. If he becomes famous, wouldn't he not even take the company seriously? With this kind of thinking, she made a misjudgment and directly gave Kurosawa Hikaru a blow and refused to sign a contract with him. Judging from the consequential theory, Kurosawa Hikaru dared to raise conditions in the first place entirely because he had absolute confidence in his own strength. Well, thinking of her original wrong judgment, Hamada Mia felt upset and there was a feeling of depression in her chest. At 1 o'clock in the morning, a car drove away from the 0-hour office and embarked on its way home. 1 hour, 1.83 million views, a video posted in the early morning can have such a response, it is really unbeatable. If you continue this upward trend, I feel that if you continue to develop for another year, it may even be possible to premiere breaking the premiere record. Igarashi Runa was still excited as she drove the car. Perhaps this is not the most exaggerated data in the history of YouTube, but it is already very impressive to be able to achieve such outstanding results after just debuting at Zero Time. Premiere record. Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious when he heard this function. The premiere is a function similar to a live broadcast. It allows fans to join the channel half an hour in advance and watch the new video live. In YouTube's history, the most exaggerated single premiere record is 1.54 million real-time viewers. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly and explained while driving seriously. So much. Kurosawa Hikaru was a little stunned when he heard this amount. 1.54 million, this is an exaggerated number of people, although this is incomparable to the ratings of the Spring Festival Gala, but as a single, it is already a very considerable number. YouTube is the video website with the largest number of users in the world, with billions of viewers, and the traffic is exaggerated. Do you know the number of views in 24 hours for the single video with the highest number of views on the first day in the world? Igarashi Runa nodded slightly, and then asked. How many? Would you like to take a guess? 30 million. Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while. Although he reached 1.83 million views in 1 hour, this was predicted in advance, and the growth rate of the subsequent views should slow down. More than that. 60 million. Hearing this statement, Kurosawa Hikaru's heart skipped a beat and doubled in size. It's still far more than that. At this guess, Igarashi Runa smiled and shook his head. 100 million. Far more than this statement is terrifying. Kurosawa Hikaru thought of a number and couldn't help but say. Yes, the number of views exceeded 100 million on the first day, ranking first in the world. The cumulative number of views in the past 2 years is 1.6 billion. This is a record set by a national group in South Korea. At present, in terms of the number of views of piano music alone, it broke the record for the most plays on the first day of a piano song in just 1 hour. Seeing that he finally guessed it right, Igarashi Runa nodded slightly and explained. After all, piano music is not popular music, and attention is insufficient. Such an exaggeration. Kurosawa Hikaru was shocked by this data, the traffic on YouTube, and the influence of the national level group. Although YouTube's playback volume, in terms of singles, is played repeatedly, each user will accumulate a lot of playback volume. But to be able to achieve such data, the influence of that national level group is absolutely phenomenal. Maybe their playback volume is exaggerated, but you don't need to be discouraged, because you are taking different routes. Especially your ability to attract money is simply terrifying, much stronger than those combinations. Seeing his expression, Igarashi Runa also smiled. Just one video and one performance can attract sky-high contracts worth tens of billions. Although the contract was not signed, it was not easy to get the money. It required 2 years of travel and hard work, and thanks to Kawaii Piano's desire to make a big gamble, Kurosawa's potential was unquestionable. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 334. The number of views on the first day exceeded 100 million. Kurosawa was feeling a little hot as he savored this record. Although he currently decided to work hard and strive hard, he wanted to quickly develop the firm and earn enough money so that Miss Ninomiya could leave the bank with her head held high in front of her parents. But after he acquired the talents of singing and piano, he also yearned to be an artist. Everyone has a dream of becoming a star. This star dream does not specifically refer to professions such as artists and singers, but a kind of vanity. People's pursuit of money and fame is very real, regardless of men and women, they are eager to be admired and appreciated by others. Croatian Rhapsody has accumulated 83 million views since its release. Since the number of views reached 70 million, the upward trend has begun to slow down. However, I think it can still exceed 100 million within a month, with the traffic and publicity of flying bumblebees. Seeing that he was very concerned about this, Igarashi Runa also said. 0 Hour's official debut was last month, August 21st. The first single is still a piano song. It is already extremely exaggerated to achieve such results. Is the number of views so high? Maybe it's not as good as others' first day breakthrough of 100 million, but it is the world's first record after all. Kurosawa Hikaru knows very well that his achievements are already very impressive. After all, he has just debuted and become famous recently, and he has not released an album yet. Currently among the piano single videos on YouTube, Croatian Rhapsody is the highest, and the number of views is high enough. There is no need to pursue the highest. After all, it is a pure piano single, which is obviously different from that kind of popular single. Igarashi Runa was also very happy. What's the difference? The reason why those singles have such a high number of views lies in the highly completed MV and the completion of the song. A pop song will use a variety of instruments and mixes. waiting for a series of post-production, as well as lyrics, performance, dance, performance effects, and other elements. MV. Understanding the elements, Kurosawa Hikaru was thoughtful. Croatian Rhapsody has a very fatal flaw, which is that the MV is just about you sitting there playing the piano. Wait until the next new video, especially at Tirana by the water, let's hire a team to shoot it. Speaking of this incident, Igarashi Runa couldn't help but feel regretful. She should have spent a lot of money to hire a professional director to shoot the MV. Even though Kurosawa's photography skills are very good, he has to play the piano and take photos at the same time, so he can't take care of both at the same time. You can hire a team, but I will be in charge of the MV shooting. Regarding this decision, Kurosawa Hikaru expressed his thoughts. You want to be the director of the MV, Igarashi Runa was a little surprised. No one understands the artistic conception and emotion of those piano pieces better than me. Regarding this matter, Kurosawa Hikaru was very firm in his thoughts. Perhaps hiring a director would save trouble, but as a photographer and a painter, he is very sure of the language of the lens and has absolute confidence in his own aesthetics. The most important thing is that he has already thought about the heroine of the MV, and that is Sayuki. There is absolutely no one in this world who understands the beauty of Sayuki better than him. That's true, you mean to only hire a photography team to help you shoot, but not a director. Igarashi Runa thought it made sense, and then confirmed it. For example, it's easier to have someone to help you, such as the set designer, prop artist, and lighting engineer. Then I'll find out later. Are we going to make an MV for our next video? Right. Kurosawa Hikaru realized the importance of the MV and decided to take action. It just so happened that Sayuki's joining the agency had been settled, and she just had to wait for the signing to become an artist in the agency. He wanted better results for the next single MV, so he just took this opportunity to let Yuki make her debut by leveraging 0 Hours fame. Which song are you going to post next? Adelina by the Water. Adelina by the Water, please hold off for now. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head without hesitation in this direction. Why? This song has great potential. Igarashi Runa didn't understand why he decided like this. In her opinion, Adelina by the Water is a very good piano piece. Although it may not be as good as Flight of the Bumblebee in terms of audiovisual effect, as a romantic piano piece, if it can be made into a good MV, it will be very enjoyable to watch. Hi. You know, the audience for love songs is very broad. Adelina by the Water is a piano piece I gave to Ms. Ninomiya. If she sees that the heroine of the MV is someone else, she will definitely be jealous. Facing her question, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled bitterly. If she's jealous, let her be jealous. If she's still jealous, it means she still cares about you. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Realizing his concerns, Igarashi Runa said immediately. You are so cruel to your bestie. Kurosawa Hikaru choked when he heard this and looked at her in surprise. What you are saying, is just your relationship. Without any strong stimulation, it would be difficult to get back together. Faced with his sad gaze, Igarashi Runa was speechless and explained. She knows Kinzuru too well. In most cases, Kinzuru's action style is driven by reason. If you want her to take the initiative, she must be stimulated very strongly, and gentle methods will not work. To be honest, she was really anxious to see that their relationship was stagnant and they never got back together. They were obviously in love with each other, even if it was because of a temporary conflict of opinions, they could be said to have parted ways. They still thought about each other in their hearts, but there was no reconciliation. As long as one of these two people is bolder and more proactive, everything should be fine. But there are some things that are bottom line, because if Miss Ninomiya had not come to shoot, I would only consider Koyuki as the heroine of the MV. Hikaru Kurosawa said with a bitter smile. Naturally, he knew that it would not be easy to get Ms. Ninomiya to forgive and accept his decision. Something special had to happen. But this cannot be the case for this particular matter. Alright. Realizing his situation, Igarashi Runa was immediately speechless. This does involve a bottom line issue. If Chizuru sees the piano music Kurosawa gave her, but Yuki Ichinos plays the heroine of the MV, then it's not as simple as jealousy. So which one are you going to post in the next video? Igarashi Runa was a little curious. In fact, she felt that the 3 piano pieces Kurosawa recorded later today, Adelina by the Waterside, Dream Wedding, and Autumn Whispers were all quite difficult. Because these 3 piano pieces are all romantic piano pieces, and even if she is a layman, she can tell that the tunes and melodies of these 3 piano pieces are very similar. Especially Dream Wedding. Looking at the title of this track, having Ms. Ichinos as the heroine of the MV is probably more lethal than Adelina by the Waterside. I'm still thinking about it. Let me conceive the MV first. Kurosawa Hikaru did not rush to answer, but said he was composing piano music tonight, and he already had an idea of the other tracks on the album. Then take your time, we just sent out the video. Seeing that he hadn't made a decision yet, Igarashi Runa didn't urge him. Kurosawa Hikaru knew that some things couldn't be rushed, which was why he didn't make a decision right away. It is definitely better to think before you act than to act directly. At your door. Not long after, the car stopped, and Igarashi Runa reminded him. Thank you, be careful on your way back and get some rest early. Kurosawa Hikaru also said as he unbuckled his seat belt. You are going to work part-time as a tutor tomorrow. You should be busy until about 10 o'clock, right? I will pick you up then. How about we go to the office and wait for 24 hours together? Seeing him leaving, Igarashi Runa suggested, thinking of his schedule tomorrow. The views and response of the second video are a crucial step for the development and prospects of the firm. Tonight was undoubtedly a great success, and according to her past habits, she had to celebrate at this time. Because every success is hard-won and must be given enough attention. Sorry, I'm afraid I won't be free tomorrow night. I plan to chat with Xiaoyuki. Hearing this invitation, Kurosawa Hikaru paused in his heart, hesitated for a few seconds, and shook his head. In this situation, if he was going to launch an offensive against Runa-san, he should take advantage of the situation and suggest going to an izakaya. When 2 people go to an izakaya alone, there will be more stories happening than when they go to an office, whether it's her being drunk and carrying her home, or other things. However, he hasn't coaxed Miss Ninomiya back yet, so he can't attack his girlfriend's best friend. There's no need to feel sorry. I'll just chat with you on the phone and tell you about the results. Igarashi Runa shrugged, not paying much attention to this. Tomorrow morning, I will ask Xiaoyuki if she is free. If she is free, how about I take her to the office to sign the contract? Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little guilty and just changed the subject. I'm afraid it won't work early in the morning. I haven't drafted her contract yet. After all, I have to discuss it with you before deciding. I'll make some preparations tomorrow morning. It should be done by 12 noon. I can't say the specific time. I'll just get it done. Send you a message. Upon hearing this proposal, Igarashi Runa said immediately. Okay, then I'll wait for you to contact me. Bye. Knowing the time arrangement, Kurosawa opened the car door and said goodbye to her. Bye-bye. When you get home, send me a message. Before getting out of the car, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly remembered something. Although he wanted to keep a distance, he still asked. What message? Igarashi Runa was a little confused when he heard this. Any information will do. It's not very reassuring for you to come home alone in the middle of the night. Kurosawa just wanted to make sure she returned home safely and had no requirements for the content. What does this have to do with it? I often don't get home until late at night. I drive my car. I drive directly to the garage at home, not by taking the tram or subway. Igarashi Runa realized that he was worried about her, and her heart couldn't help but panic and speed up, and then she said. Although sending a message is something that can be done easily, Kurosawa is Chizuru's boyfriend after all. Although they are currently quarreling, it is better to keep a certain distance between her and Kurosawa Hikaru. Okay, then please pay attention to your safety. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her nonchalant attitude, thought about it, and nodded. 2 more are sent. I was a bit busy as the Chinese New Year was approaching. I went out with my dad to prepare New Year's goods during the day, so the update was late. Sorry.